What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Back at you pretty soon with this one. I decided to try and get it out of the way as quickly as possible so we can get on with things. I usually leave it about 2 weeks before doing one of these. It's only been like a week this time, so, you know, all's good. I just wanted to get the first collection update out of the way. I should preface this by saying it's not a recent pickups video or anything. Some of the DVDs I'm going to be showing you I bought up to 6 or 7 months ago. So they've been in my collection for quite a while. It's basically stuff I bought since I did this part of the alphabet and have passed it, you know, if that makes sense. There's definitely going to be another 2 videos, at least, of this, possibly 3, depending on how much I buy over the coming weeks and months. But yeah, I mean, we got a stacked one here today, so we'll get on with it. Quick plug for the podcast, of course. But other than that, let's get on with it. First things first, the first DVD is 30 Days of Night. Now, I got this only very recently and I haven't gotten a chance to watch it yet. Ooh. I don't know. But yeah, apparently this is some sort of vampire movie. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest vampire person, but I mean, I'll give pretty much anything a go, and this was very, very cheap. But, I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe if I have got anything interesting to say about this, it'll end up in a review. Pardon me. But yeah, so that's 30 Days of Night. Obviously can't talk about that too much. I can talk an awful lot about this. 5 horror movies on 2 discs. This is a shitty movie multi-pack. Yeah, 2 double-sided discs, 5 movies. The movies are Curfew, which I reviewed. There's a link to in the description. Axe, which is not the shit video nasty. It's a slasher movie about a band playing their final gig, and they end up trapped in the venue and are being stalked by some sort of killer. Bachelor Party Massacre, a seriously shitty slasher movie about a bachelor party where someone is kind of stalking and killing the guests. Pieces, my favourite shit movie ever. I mean, if you haven't seen Pieces, you've got to see Pieces. It's brilliant. It's insanely bloody. All of the dialogue's terrible. It's acted badly. Very funny movie. I would highly recommend checking out Pieces. And the last one's Sickle, which I reviewed. It's originally known as the Slaughterhouse Massacre. Link to it in the description. Yeah, so I mean, my thoughts on Curfew and Sickle are already out there, so I won't go into it too much. I mean, I was amazed when I picked this up just how kind of varied the movies on it were. I mean, you've got Curfew from the late 80s, Pieces from the early 80s, and the other 3 are all more modern. I mean, Axes and Sickle are like early 2000s. Bachelor Party Massacre must be around that time as well. I mean, Bachelor Party Massacre, to be honest, looks a lot like a student film. I mean, Sickle does as well, but not to the same extent as Bachelor Party Massacre. I would review that, but I mean, I'm not sitting for it again. No way. But yeah, no. 5 horror movies on 2 discs. That was a pretty cool pickup. I've gotten definitely some fun and some material out of having picked that up, what with the reviews and stuff. Next up, 7 Days. I literally just watched this a couple of hours ago. And I'm going to be reviewing it shortly, so I'll keep it short and sweet. Revenge movie about a guy whose 8-year-old daughter's raped and murdered. He kidnaps the man who did it and holds him hostage, where he tortures him for 7 days. But yeah, I'll be reviewing that shortly, so I'll leave my comments for that. Next up, Ali G. This is the best of the Ali G show from Channel 4. I got this in Poundland. It's one of those, you know, like the Music Magpie DVDs that they... when you sell your DVDs and stuff to Music Magpie, they get sold in Poundland. That's how it works. I didn't realise that, but apparently that's the deal. But yeah, no. Ali G. This is, like I say, a compilation of kind of the best of, plus some extra stuff that wasn't in the show, you know, some sort of unseen material. I mean, I showed Ali G in the House, the movie, in one of the early videos, This is the real Ali G. You know, that movie, as much as I kind of have nostalgic warm fuzzies about it, isn't very good. This is the real shit. This is the stuff that you need to see. This is why people care about this character so much, because this classic stuff, the TV series is brilliant. So yeah, that's Ali G.I. Next up, Prometheus, the Ridley Scott buggery, prequel to Alien. I won't go on about this too long. I mean, we all saw this and were slightly disappointed by it. Yeah, I mean, it's not really that good. I picked it up because it was like 50p or something. I mean, you know, it's kind of a whatever movie. It's not even really like, oh my god, that was ragingly terrible. It's just like, well, what, you know, felt like a bit of a waste of time. I am looking forward to seeing what they do with the new Alien movie, though. I'll grant you that. But yeah, no, that's Prometheus. We'll move on from that pretty quickly. Another one I haven't seen, Amityville II, The Possession. I love the first movie. Well, love might be a bit strong, but I think the first movie is a really cool movie. The remake is half decent. Still haven't seen this though. I mean, I can't imagine it being great. Although I have seen a couple of YouTubers mention this as a really good movie. I mean, someone who I watch called Kim Hoban mentioned that this is her favourite Amityville movie, which is pretty cool, and I'm definitely going to check it out at some point. Next up, Apocalypse Now. My mate Brody, Downfall Reviews on YouTube, this is his favourite film. Now that is just the coolest disc art in the world. I don't know, I mean, it's just the logo, but it just looks so boss on the disc, man. Yeah, classic Vietnam movie. Really touching stuff. Very kind of strong emotion to the film. Yeah, I mean, I don't need to talk too much about Apocalypse Now. It's a classic. You've all seen it, I would imagine. So yeah, that's Apocalypse Now. We'll move on. Next up is, and I haven't seen this either yet, the Assault on Precinct 13 remake. I love the original Assault on Precinct 13. It's one of my favourite Carpenter movies. So I thought I'd pick up this remake with Ethan Hawke and Lawrence Fishburne, just to see what it's all about. Oh, John Leguizamo. Didn't even notice that. But yeah, no, I mean, like I say, Assault on Precinct 13, classic siege movie. A police station comes under attack from a gang of criminals who are hunting down a man trapped inside. I don't know if this movie follows the same format, but I'm looking forward to checking it out. I'd imagine it's probably a bit weak sauce, considering no one really talks about it. But, you know, that's kind of the risk you run with these things. But, yeah, no, like I say, I love the original Assault on Precinct 13, so I had to pick that one up just to check it out. Next up, Batman and Robin, the worst Batman movie. Yeah, I mean, everything about this movie is clinically embarrassing. I mean, you've got Arnold Schwarzenegger just dropping puns everywhere, George Clooney being a shit Batman, Chris O'Donnell and Alicia Silverstone ruining their careers. That's kind of the deal here with Batman and Robin. I mean, there's the occasional moment of comedy that I feel like is probably unintentional. This kind of, you know, the whole standard of this movie feels like something that, you know, like a video game adaptation from the early 90s. You know, it's similar to, you know, Street Fighter and stuff, but this has like really high caliber actors in it, you know. It's not like the biggest star in the movie is Jean-Claude Van Damme, you know. So, I mean, it just bemuses me that this movie was so terrible. But, I mean, whatever. Yeah, you know, that's Batman and Robin. Next up, The Dark Knight, of course, the classic. This is another one of those Poundland jobbies. So yeah, I mean, on a kind of objective level, this is the best Batman movie. Not my favourite. My favourite's Batman Returns, but this is a close second. Pardon me. Yeah, great movie. I mean, fuck, what was his name? Heath Ledger's turn as the Joker is just iconic now. I mean, it was iconic pretty much straight away. I remember when this movie came out, people were obsessed with that shit. I mean, Christian Bale's great in this movie again as Batman. Like I say, just a really great movie. Great movie, Dark Knight. Next up, classic comedy with the Big Lebowski. Now, I had to pick this up because of the weird case. I just thought that's too good of a chance to miss. It's like a CD jewel case, but one of those ones where you get like the hinges are sort of integrated. I've never seen a DVD like this before, so like I say, I picked it up just for that. Yeah, the Big Lebowski, yeah, fucking hilarious Coen Brothers movie. I mean, this, like I say, part of the reason I picked it up is because this is a fucking old DVD. This is from like the early days of DVD. It's like, I mean, the film was what, like 97? And I mean, this has got to be a similar sort of time frame to that, maybe 98 or 99. But yeah, no, hilarious movie. I would highly recommend checking out The Big Lebowski. Very funny stuff. I'd imagine that anyone watching this has seen it already. It's, you know, but yeah, whatever. Let's move on. Next up, another great Carpenter movie, Big Trouble in Little China. Can you believe I didn't have this until like 6 months ago when I bought it? But whatever, you know, it's a really entertaining action comedy movie. Kurt Russell plays a very different role in this to his role in like the other Carpenter movies like The Thing or Escape from New York, man. It's a really kind of, you know, light-hearted movie. You know, it's a lot of fun, this movie. It's got plenty of action, and it's a, you know, I think this is a movie that could be enjoyed by the whole family, man. Honestly, it's just about a dude going through Chinatown, trying to get his truck back, trying to rescue his friend's fiance. Very, very entertaining movie. Is it one of Carpenter's best? I wouldn't put it in the top 5, I'll be honest, but it is a top 10 Carpenter movie for me. So yeah, that's Big Trouble in Little China. Next up, Bill Bailey, Part Troll, live at the Hammersmith Apollo. Yeah, this is hilarious stuff. Search out some clips from that on YouTube. Bill Bailey's one of my favourite comedians, dude. He's fucking hilarious. I mean, you know, all his stuff about renting a car from this show, incredible, love it. Brilliant. I love Bill Bailey. It's really hard to talk about these comedy DVDs. I mean, the Kraftwerk thing as well, phenomenal. I love it. Go and watch some Bill Bailey stuff on YouTube. I promise you won't regret it. Next up, Tinselworm. This one isn't quite as good as Part Troll, but it's still really good. I mean, what's this got on it? I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah, hey Asda, I ain't gonna be your bitch. That's one of the key moments. Oh, and Portishead doing Zippity Doodah as the new national anthem. Yeah, really entertaining stuff. Like I say, Bill Bailey, hilarious. One of my favourite comedians. I would highly recommend going and check him out. He's a fantastic musician as well. Does lots of comedy songs as part of his act. Great stuff. Search out Bill Bailey on YouTube and see for yourself. Next up, and I haven't watched this yet either, it's the remake of Black Christmas. To be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the original Black Christmas. It's decent, but I mean, there are definitely improvements that could be made with it. So that's the main reason I picked up the remake, was to see if they did make those improvements. This is a rental copy, by the way. If I ever see former rentals in second-hand shops, I generally go for them rather than the retail versions. Just because I'm a bit weird like that. They're usually a bit cheaper. Is you know, the one thing. Plus, I kind of like it. It's something that's died out. Obviously, the DVD rental business. So I like to keep hold of this sort of thing where I can. But yeah, no, I'll check that out and maybe you'll hear my thoughts on it at some point. That's the Black Christmas remake. Next up, and this is another rental copy, Book of Shadows, Blair Witch II. Again, I haven't seen this. I'm told it's really, really shitty, including by people that I you know. It's not just stuff that I've read on the internet. Like I say, this is another rental, originally a rental, which, like I say, is cool. That's totally my thing, to be honest. But I mean, yeah, I reviewed Blair Witch, the most recent movie. That was a terrible film. Link to that in the description. Maybe I'll review this and sort of go backwards and do the whole franchise, but backwards. Yeah, maybe. We'll see. So yeah, that's Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Next up, a classic, Blue Velvet. from David Lynch. One of his creepiest movies, without a doubt. I mean, and this is by a guy who did a ton of creepy movies. Dennis Hopper is fucking off the chart in this movie, I'm telling you. And I mean, like Carl MacLachlan's great in it, Isabella Rossellini. It's basically about a guy who finds a severed ear on his way home from either work or school, I can't remember. But he's kind of a young adult, you know. And he gets involved in this whole plot where a woman is sort of being held to ransom for her kids by this gangster guy. Really, really cool movie. Blue Velvet is like, I mean, it's stunningly shot and everything. I would definitely recommend checking out Blue Velvet, like I would most of David Lynch's films, to be honest. But Blue Velvet is a particular highlight. Next up, and I reviewed this, one of my favourite zombie movies, Braindead. If you don't love this movie, we can't be friends. I'm sorry. This is just one of the funniest horror comedies of all time. Peter Jackson, before he went into becoming a huge Hollywood director, he made splatter movies like Braindead. And this is one of the best, man. This is just superb. My favourite Peter Jackson movie. So much blood and guts flying everywhere. It's fantastic. One of the bloodiest films ever made. Often when people talk about, you know, the goriest movies, this is on there. And I can see why, man. I mean, the concentration of gore is just so high. You know, it sets the high watermark for these, you know, over-the-top gore movies. And for the most part, I don't think anything's topped it since. So yeah, that's Braindead, as I say, possibly known as Dead Alive, where you are. I reviewed this as well, Bram Stoker's Legend of the Mummy. What a load of old shit. Terrible. Lou Gossett Jr. gives it a try, but the whole movie just falls absolutely on its arse. I also picked up Bram Stoker's Legend of the Mummy 2 because I was just so curious as to how a movie that shit could get a sequel. But to be honest, I haven't watched it yet. I mean, you know, I'd imagine that it's going to be pretty much the same sort of standard. Probably a totally separate story that's tied in tenuously. But I mean, whatever. That's Bram Stoker's Legend of the Mummy 2. I haven't watched it yet, but I mean, maybe I'll end up reviewing that. I mean, people seem to like the Bram Stoker Legend of the Mummy review. We'll see, who knows. Next up, I've also reviewed this movie, fuck. The Brood. This is an awesome edition of The Brood because it comes with 2 cuts of the movie. It comes with... Actually, I'll tell you what, the one version, the UK version is cut, which makes it slightly redundant. The full uncut version is the US version on the second disc. So, I mean, in a way, it's kind of redundant, but I mean, you've got, you know, some really cool stuff on this. I mean, there's trailers and all of that sort of stuff. The Brood is a really, really cool movie. Definitely in my top 10, probably even top 5 of Cronenberg, I've got to say. There's a link to my review in the description if you want to hear my thoughts in more detail. But yeah, superb movie. Yeah, Cronenberg, one of the masters. What can I say? Next up, I haven't seen this one, Buried Alive. Edgar Allan Poe's Buried Alive. It looks like just a sort of 80s horror movie. I mean, I haven't been able to read up much on it. I'll have to look into it. But apparently Donald Pleasance and John Carradine are in it. So, I mean, I'd imagine that, you know, kind of boosts the standards. Unless they spent all the money on getting them. Which is, you know, a possibility. But we'll see. I really don't know. I haven't even read the synopsis on this. I literally picked it up because it was super cheap. It might be a zombie movie, actually, looking at the cover. We'll see. But yeah, whatever. That's Buried Alive. Next up, the first of, 3 Blu-Rays I'm going to be showing you. The Burn-In. Yeah, this is the... I mean, I reviewed this as well. Fuck. I tend to review movies as I see them. I mean... I saw this for the first time. Reviews linked in the description. Arrow did a beautiful job with this steelbook. I'm not generally a steelbook person, but I mean, that artwork is just boss. There's a great selection of extra features on this Blu-ray. You've got interviews with Tom Savini, making of featurettes, trailers, all of that sort of thing. You know, revisiting the movie, reappraising the movie. Really, really fun camp slasher movie. If you're into Friday the 13th, this is well up your street, The Burn-In. Definitely. I mean, I'm not the biggest slasher person. Obviously I love the genre, but it's not my favourite. Like with a lot of people say that slasher's their favourite genre. It's not mine personally, but I mean it's up there. But I mean this is one of my favourite non-franchise slashers personally. The Burning, cool movie. I really like that one. Next up, the Catoninetails. Man, when I found this out of print Arrow video, I was just so happy. So, I mean, it comes with a poster and a whole book of essays and reversible sleeve, 4 different artworks to choose from. So you can put your preferred one at the window of the slipcase. I generally, when I've got this type of thing going on, I go for the most old school one possible, and preferably in English. But yeah, no, really cool giallo movie about a blind guy and a journalist investigating a string of murders and trying to work out what's going on. A lot of sort of science stuff worked in there. I mean, the stuff about the XYY chromosome, that's actually based in reality. That's not just a concept for this movie. That is an actual thing. And I mean, yeah, it's a really cool movie. I really, really like the Catoninetails, actually. I'd say it's one of my top 10 Argento movies, and I'm a big Argento fan as well. Like any fucking Italian horror fan, Argento and Fulci is my shit. I'm a total normie in that regard. But yeah, that's the Catoninetails. We're getting near the end now. Trying to make these shorter than they used to be. Catfish, the documentary that started the original TV series, and this is significantly better than the TV series as well, to be honest. This movie feels a lot more real, a lot less set up. I mean, it probably still was to an extent, but whatever. It's entertaining enough viewing. I really can't overstate how shocking this movie was when it came out. I mean, the TV series has kind of dampened the impact of this movie a little bit, I would say. I mean, there's plenty of stuff still to kind of, be shocked by and kind of slightly made uncomfortable by in this movie, but not to the same extent as when this movie first came along. I saw it on TV when it was broadcast on MTV, way before the TV series. And I mean, this movie was so fucking shocking. You were like, what? Like wow! It was a real wow moment. I mean, yeah. So that's the Catfish, the documentary. There's a couple of interviews with the sort of filmmakers and stuff. Some interesting stuff on there, talking about stuff that didn't quite make the cut. Also, a lot of people kind of talk about the title, and it's like, where did the title Catfish come from? Those people have obviously never seen the movie. They've only ever watched the TV series. They need to watch this. So yeah, that's Catfish. Next up, City of the Living Dead. This is the last movie I needed to finish off the Gates of Hell trilogy. Obviously, this movie, I didn't even realise this, but the alternate title was Gates of Hell somewhere, clearly, on the reverse sleeve there. City of the Living Dead. Really cool zombie movie. This is my of Fulci's zombie movies. This is my third favourite, I would say, possibly joint second. Actually, it's much more of. I mean, the thing is, aside from Zombie Flesh Eaters and Zombie Flesh Eaters 2, Lucio Fulci's zombie movies generally kind of strayed away from that, and this is no exception. But it's definitely, other than those 2 movies, it's the most sort of pure zombie movie he did. And yeah, I would highly, highly, highly recommend checking out City of the Living Dead. Teleporting zombies. It has a lot of fun with the zombie genre. It's the same as most of his zombie movies, actually. I mean, like I say, Zombie Flesh Eaters is my favourite Fulci zombie movie. I think it's my favourite Fulci film in general. The Beyond is probably my second favourite of his zombie movies, and this would be third. Much as I love House by the Cemetery, it does slip just slightly behind. And then Zombie Flesh Eaters 2 is shit, everyone knows that. City of the Living Dead. Really, really cool movie. Really enjoyed this. Checked out the Arrow release. I mean, I do want to check out the audio commentary of Giovanni Lombardo Radici, who's a really, really good actor and is a great, interesting guy. So I really want to check that out. And there's a bunch of kind of interviews and stuff with the kind of cast and whatever. So yeah, I'm looking forward to checking that stuff out. I didn't get this too long ago. But yeah, no, City of the Living Dead, really, really fun movie. That's very cool. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That'll do it for this particular instalment. Link to my podcast in the description. Go and check that out if you're cool. If you're not, then what you're doing with your life. But whatever. I hope to speak to you again very soon. Like I say, I'm planning on doing a couple of reviews today. So hopefully you'll see them in a few hours. But other than that, thanks very much for watching.